how simple this is. Now, I don't want to get in a big debate about climate change, global warming, and all that stuff. But whether it exists or not, we still should be concerned about sequestering carbon, because that's what runs the tilth, the fertility, the hydraulic cycle, all these things. So there's the mob of about 450. They're all up there at the edge of the paddock, ready to move into today's next paddock. So you see we're opening up the cross fence. They all move in. You can see where they're vacating and where they're moving in. Okay. Now the next sequence, now they're coming on in. But this is extreme economies of scale and extreme carbon sequestration. Another shot of another part of the farm going in. And then here they are, about 450 on 2 acres for 1 day. So we're just moving those cows along from day to day. Now water gets to be an issue. We don't want them drinking out of a pond, so we put water in a pipe so that we can keep the water nice and clean with full flow valves. This is good high-tech infrastructure, buried water lines. Very, very simple stuff. Mineral box, it's all simple. This is a leased farm. We lease 5 different farms. And this is one of them, and you can see this is the first year. It's pretty weedy, not very thick yet, but you can see where they just were, where they've just gone. You don't have to mow that. The cows have all done it because of the tightness, the compression of the mob stocking. Now, on this particular leased farm, one of the fun things we're doing now is taking these leased farms and placing former interns and apprentices on those farms to build their own autonomous carbon sequestration stackable enterprises on those farms. So here's one of our former apprentices. He's there moving our cows every day. In exchange, we've given him enough land on it to run his own autonomous 10-cow grass-based dairy. Raw milk dairy, I must say. And so here he is bringing the cows into his little portable, homemade, self-made parlor. The compressor's in the box, and the generators in the box. The cows just come right up to it. 5 on the side. He's got 10 cows. And look, I mean, this is portable, lightweight infrastructure. Compare this to great big confinement dairy operations. Folks, this could be embedded in any town, any city, almost a backyard. See? And this is the kind of localized, low overhead, correct embeddedness. See, what's happened in American food system is that the butcher and the baker and the candlestick maker have become so anti-human scale, so aesthetically and aromatically repugnant, that we have pushed the butcher and the baker and the candlestick maker out of our villages. And when any economic sector gets pushed out of the village, it starts taking economic, social, and environmental shortcuts because it becomes opaque. If we're going to have an integrity food supply, then we don't have to worry about the volume of it or the quality of it. It's going to have to be transparent, and the only way to be transparent is to re-embed the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker in our villages and our communities. So these are the kinds of localized systems that we're looking for. What we want is systems that are aesthetically and aromatically, sensually romantic. See? Germinating young farmers. That's my new vision. That's where we're headed. All right? And we're planting these young farmers on these leased farms, feeding complementary or additional volume so that we can continue to let the brand name Polyface Farms expand without just expanding an empire like a Wall Street idea. I have a lot of anti-Wall Street sentiments, and that's the way I want to have my business. I have no desire to build an empire. And so this is just beautiful and simple. Now, shade gets to be an issue. So we built a 50 by 20 foot portable shade mobile for 100 cows that we move around so we can spread the pasture droppings around in the fields so they're losing them under trees. Water gets to be an issue. So we've built about 12 ponds on the farm. And every time we get some money, we just build another pond. And we've built ponds, we've got that gravity feed. We use elevation to gravity feed. So we have 5 miles of water line on the farm that gives us 80 pounds of pressure water any place on the farm with no pumps, no electricity, no nothing, just gravity. See, it's not like, I don't want to spend money. I like to spend money that's a once a 500-year investment. That's the way I like to invest. And then, of course, you can use it for irrigation as well to continue to metabolize solar energy even during the dormant season. Now, those cows drop a calling card. And so we look at that and we say, well, now before, Johnson & Johnson and Merck Pharmaceuticals and Pfizer and all these, pharmaceutical companies came along, how did these cows survive? Guess what? We look at nature and guess what we see? Birds. Birds follow herbivores. And so we follow the cows with the eggmobiles. And the eggmobiles then, the chickens then fan out from the eggmobiles, scratch through the cow patties. These are just simply chicken houses on trailers, very, very simple, slatted floor, all the droppings go on the floor, but they just follow the cow herd, and the chickens lay eggs as a byproduct of the pasture sanitation program. Suddenly, instead of shooting the cows up with Ivomec and things that make the meat so bad, we're just collecting $50,000 worth of eggs as a byproduct of pasture sanitation. So you can make so much money, you got to hire somebody to take it to the bank. See, we've got this notion today that in order to be economically viable, you have to sacrifice the ecology, right? And in order to be ecologically viable, you got to sacrifice economy. I'm here to tell you, you can have your cake and eat it too. There's no reason why we have to sacrifice. We can have win-win situations. Those chickens can work for us, and they can lay those eggs, they can sanitize, they can take all those grasshoppers and crickets and turn that into egg value. And another nice thing about this is the chickens now are not just for eggs. They become co-laborers, team players in this great land healing ministry. It completely changes the relationship that we have emotionally with what we're producing and makes an egg that's unbelievable in the world. Now, you adapt. These are two eggmobiles that we have on one of our leased farms. We have another young apprentice over there running this other leased farm, and he's got his eggmobiles, and this happens to have a lot of water, some steep ground, and so we built them smaller, so instead of having 800 birds in two 12 by 20 eggmobiles, he's got 600 into 8 by 16, all right? So you adapt it, you change this around, but it's scalable, it's easy to do. The question is, which would you rather live next to? I figured that would happen sooner or later. That's Amen Corner there. Okay. The question is, which would you rather live next to? The beauty of these systems is that they can be embedded right in suburbia, in a backyard, and be beautiful. Now we're going to egg production, commercial egg production, using the feather net system. This is, again, high-tech stuff. This is a fencing with an electric fence, a stainless steel thread woven through it to conduct a spark. It keeps out wolves and bears and coyotes and keeps the chickens in. Who would have thought 80 years ago that you could have that impregnable a fence that 150 feet of it would weigh 12 feet and a person could take it up and put it down in 15 minutes? 80 years ago, a fence like that would have weighed 200 pounds per linear foot and would have been impossible to move. So this is 1,000 birds on a quarter acre every 3 days. It's all hooked together. You just hook up to the tractor, pull it all through. The chickens are already walking into the next paddock. So every 3 days they get a brand new paddock.
Does it keep raccoons out?
Keeps raccoons out too, yes. All right, so this is the new generation. This is the last year's new design. As far as I'm concerned, those hoop houses are now obsolete. But I put them in there just because I want you to, this is very versatile. You can do a lot of things. This is the Millennium Feather Net. And the big breakthrough here was the scissor truss to allow us to use all the vertical space up inside. So we have 1,000 birds in here, but a third less footprint of building size on the land. So the chickens walk up the chicken ladder there to lay their eggs. There's the human ladder. And you walk up in there on the catwalk to gather eggs. This is like an epiphany. This is like the favorite place I'd like to take my kindergarten classes and stuff like that to go up. I mean, talk about surround sound. Let me tell you, this is surround sound. A true hen chorus, but it is absolutely beautiful. It's simple infrastructure, light on the land. We use guard dogs as well. I like to build in redundancy. And so there's the guard dog, but ultimately, it's simply a beautiful kind of system. Then in the wintertime, then we come into hoop houses, chickens, rabbits, pigs. So look at all the pathogen confusion in this house, but you don't have any of the negatives of a single species house because none of the concentrations is enough to kick in pathogenicity.